it's Ian RDO here. Welcome to the second show of the brand new show called Battle of the Debuts, where we take two albums released in the same sort of period. Their very first albums of bands that didn't have a rivalry as such, but were all part of the same genre. Last week we started off with Iron Maiden and Saxon, and Saxon didn't come second and Iron Maiden came first, and then I handed it over to you, the viewers, subscribers, to say, did you agree with what I come up with? And last week we all agreed. We all said that Iron Maiden was the better album. So although it was a draw on the things, everyone thought that the Iron Maiden album was better. So Iron Maiden are the winners of that battle. So today I've got two bands that are very dear to my heart. There are two bands that I love, and they both released an album in their debut albums in 1970. We are talking about Black Sabbath and Uriah Heep. So I'm doing it as usual. It'll be done on the release date. That's the only easiest way to do it, is on the release date, and then we don't get any favourites from the start. So today, first one we're going to look at is the debut album from Black Sabbath, self-titled, released on the 13th of February 1970 by Vertigo Records in the UK and Warner Brothers in America. It was released on the 1st of June in America. This album, of course, is widely regarded as the first heavy metal album. And they say that Black Sabbath has been referred to as the first doom metal song. When it was released, it got to number 8 in the UK charts, number 23 on the Billboard, and has been put in the reference of 1001 albums you must hear before you die in 2006. I don't know where it was in his book. So the artists on this fab record, of course, are Ozzy Osbourne on lead vocals, and he plays harmonica on The Wizard, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler on the bass, Bill Ward. Production was Roger Bain, engineering Tom Allen and Barry Sheffield. First song on this album is the self-titled song Black Sabbath. Well, what a way to start an album. Rain, bells, and then that first real strong riff you get from Tony Iommi. It is just absolutely mind-blowing. There was the eerie vocal from Ozzy. But my favourite bit of this is actually Geezer Butler's bass line. Really drives the song. It's a classic. Absolute classic. Then we get The Wizard. Starts off with Ozzy playing a bit of harmonica. I don't know if that's the only thing he can play on the harmonica, but it's a good track. I like the guitar work here from Mr. Iommi. Very, very good track that one is. Then we get Behind the Wall of Sleep. More inspirational guitar riffs from Tony Iommi, the man of many riffs. Good vocal from Ozzy on this one, and what I like about this again is Bill Ward's drumming on this. It's just tremendous. You can tell he's had a bit of jazz influence in his life, because he doesn't just play and stop. He goes on and does these little twists in it. It's really, really good. Then we get another classic, and it still remains one of the best tracks by Black Sabbath, of course. It's the one that starts with that fantastic funky bass line from Geezer, and you get that classic riff where it's N.I.B in it. Just great track, great vocal from Ozzy. It is the best track on this album without a doubt. It is just mind-blowing. Okay, that was side one, because we're doing it as it came out on an album. So on side two, opens up with a cover of the Crow song Evil Woman. I mean, if you've never heard the Crow version, go and check it out. It is on YouTube. But I think Black Sabbath do a great cover of this, and I do prefer this version to the original. Sleeping Village is the next one. I'd say this is more like a jam session for Geezer, Bill and Tony. It's okay. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. Then we get Warning. Again, this is a cover by the Ainsley Dunbar Retaliation. It isn't actually a bad cover, but I, in this instance, prefer the original version. I think the vocal is much better on the original. But it's one of them songs that they're both good, but I like bits better than on some of them than others. And on this version, on the Black Sabbath version, I think Tony Iommi's guitar work is better. Both drummers in both Ainsley Dunbar and Bill Ward, terrific drummers. So the drumming's coming in, but when I look at it on the whole, I don't think this is as good as the original. So that was the end of the album. So what do I think? I think this is a very good debut album, of course. It set the standard for heavy metal. I'll agree with that. What lets this down are the covers. You know, I'm sure they had some other songs they could have done. I mean, they prove that they can whip up a song very quickly. That's how Paranoid came about, wasn't it? You need another song, boom. But it is a great album, and I do love this album. So what do the old critics think? Well, it went down very negatively with the critics. My favourite critiques, Rolling Stone magazine, Lester Bangs, this is, described the band just like Cream, but worse. I hope he each realise he made an absolute cock up there. Some of the inane lyrics that sound like Vanilla Fudge paying doggerel tribute to Aleister Crowley. The album has nothing to do with spiritualism, the occult, or anything except stiff reincarnations of Cream cliches. What do you expect from Rolling Stone? Robert Christgau, writing for the Village Voice, panned the album, as this is what he says: bullshit necrosomy. He later described it was a reflection of the worst counterculture, including drug-impaired reaction of the time and long solos. How did it do in the charts? Well, in Australia, it managed to get to number 8 in their album charts. Canada, 29. The Dutch album chart 6. French, 10. Germans 8, UK 8, and America Billboard. So it looks like the fans liked it. It's got certifications. It went gold in Canada, 50,000, gold here in the UK, 100,000, and platinum in America. So looking on all that, let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of things. Okay, the song quality on this. Some great songs, some everlasting songs that all through their career would be part of their shows. You couldn't do a show without Black Sabbath or N.I.B. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. The production. This is 1970. It was plug-in and go production, and that's what gives it that rawness, that edge. And it sounds good today as it did when I first heard it. Now, I first heard this album probably round about 76, 77. And it sounded good then, and I have met people that brought it when it came out, and they say the same. It sounds as good as it did in 1970. So production, we're going to give it 5 out of 5. Reception. Okay, the critics panned it and they went on to eat their words. But us, the fans, are the most important people, the ones that went and brought it, liked it. And it went on to become a legend of an album. So I'm going to give reception for this one 4 out of 5. The reason that the critics did pan it a little bit. Cover design. It's an iconic cover, isn't it? But it doesn't really tell you what it's really about. I like it, and a lot of people do. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. So giving a grand total for Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, 17 out of 20. Okay, next contender please, and here it is. Uriah Heep's Very Eavy and Very Umble, released on the 13th of June 1970 by Vertigo Records again. So label stablemates of Black Sabbath. It was issued in America by Mercury Records with a different sleeve, as you can see. I've put it up on the other side. And they replaced Bird of Prey instead of Lucy Blues. This is sort of thing they did, and then they was reissued by Bronze in 71 after the bonds as they signed to them. This album shows mixture genres. It was heavy metal, progressive rock rather than hard rock that they would become known for later. There's couple of tracks on here that was recorded as spy songs, the band prior to they were renamed as Uriah Heep. So who is on this album? Well, it's David Byron on lead vocals and Ken Hensley on the keyboards and mellotron, Mick Box on guitars and backing vocals, Paul Newton on bass, Alex Napier on the drums. Production on this was Jerry Braun, engineering Peter Gallen, and Peter Olive did the mixing. This album opens up with another classic track from that era, and a classic from Uriah Heep, Gypsy. That start is just brilliant. You've got Ken on the Hammond, and then you get some great little drum bits from Alex Napier, and then you get that great riff from Mickey Box, and then you get this dramatic vocal from David Byron. It's just a superb track, and it's still as good today as it was in 1970. I mean, Bernie Shaw sings this great. I think all the singers that have been in Uriah Heep always give it the war. I saw Pete Goldby sing it, and he sang it brilliantly as well. I know Bernie does it, and John Lawton sang it well, so it just remains a classic. Walking in Your Shadow is the next track. This has got some great riffs from Mick Box. It's a great track, solid rock track. David Byron's vocals, what a singer he was. He could hit notes that no one else could at the time. Absolutely stunning voice. Then we have a cover. They covered Come Away Melinda, which was made famous by Harry Belafonte. This is so much better. And the striking thing is this is the first track you really get a hold of the harmonies of Uriah Heep. It's something that on their albums, the harmonies on their albums are just brilliant. I love that track. It's a little bit different, but I do love it. Then we get Lucy Blues. What a bluesy number this is. Great singing from David as ever. Some great licks from Mick Box and some lovely piano work from Ken. Absolutely stonking. I think I was talking the word stonking. I've got a subscriber from America. I think he understands now what stonking is. It's just one of my little words I like using. For those who don't know, stonking is a great, brilliant, whatever you want to call it. Then we turn over to side 2 and we open up side 2 with Dreammare. Mick Box is kills on this, absolutely killer. Great guitar work, great use of his wah-wah, which he's really known for, is his wah-wah work. I do like the harmonies on this one again, absolutely brilliant. You know, Ken Hemsley's is a very good singer, so brilliant. Real turned on, great little rock track here. I love the beat on this. Again, Mick Box, some wonderful guitar work. David Byron's vocals are superb. Then we get another classic, which is still played today. I'll Keep Trying. On Trying, sorry. Great track. Again, some great harmonies. I think this is some of David Byron's best singing. Not just on this album, but when in his time in Uriah Heep. It's an absolute stunner. Just love how the guitar mix is fantastic as well. And the last track on here, Wake Up, Set Your Sightings. I think this is one of the weaker tracks on the album, but it has got a great vocal performance from David Byron. So what do I think of this album? I think this is a very underrated debut album. It's got some great tracks on it. 2 classics. The rest are solid. Tracks of diversity. It's not just one style. We have rock, metal, jazz, blues. It's one of my favourite albums from 1970. As with Black Sabbath, on release the press panned it. But now it's been acknowledged as an early classic of the heavy metal genre. Martin Popoff classifies the album as a proto-heavy metal. Now this is one of my favourite quotes from a music journalist ever. It's from Rolling Stone, of course. This is Melissa Mills. She began her review by saying, "If this group makes it, I'll have to commit suicide." What a stupid thing to say, because they did make it, Melissa. And they're still going today and making great music. Where are you now, Melissa Mills? And she says she does from the first note she didn't want to hear any more. How can she say that about Gypsy? What she knows about music, you could write on the back of a postage stamp. End of rant. I couldn't believe what she said about it. Now, I couldn't find it where it did in the UK. It got to number 84 in Canada, it's 22 in Germany, 186 in America, and then when it got re-released, it got 15 in Australia, Finland in number 14, and Japan 41. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of things. Song quality, great. Ken Hensley, great writer. Mick Box writes good stuff. David Byron was a great writer. Apart from the one song, which is a cover, everyone else, every other track is their own. So for song quality, I shall give it 5 out of 5. Production, great production again. Plug in and go rock. That's what I call this. Crisp, clear vocals, absolutely superb. Again, it hasn't worn down, or it still sounds fresh today. So I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 5. Reception. It didn't have the same sort of impact as Black Sabbath at the time, but as time has gone on, it's become pretty good. But this is done when it came out, and it got slated by the music press as well, and so I'm going to have to give it a 3 out of 5. Cover design. I think this is a great cover. And out of the two, this one's more eye-catching. I mean, it's David Byron covered in cobwebs. It sort of rings in with very heavy, very humble. I'm going to have to stick my nose out and say I'm going to give this cover design 5 out of 5. Because if you put them against each other, you're more drawn. This is what I did. I put the covers next to each other, and my eyes were drawn into the Uriah Heep. That's how I had to decide this. So I'm going to give that 5 out of 5. So very heavy, very humble. Gets a grand total of 18 out of 20. So out of the two albums, as much as I love them both, I'm going to give this one to Uriah Heep. I think it's because it's a more diverse sound, and don't now you Black Sabbath fans, don't get on my goat about this. I love them both. I love them both, but out of the two, which one do I listen to more? It is this one. Very heavy, very humble. But that's my opinion. Let's see what you guys think. As usual, put it in the comments box. If you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter, do it the same. Make a comment, and I'll tell you the result next week on the live stream, because we're not having a live stream today, because we've got the one on Saturday for the birthday bash, which is 1 year on Saturday since RTO started. So I'll see what you think. I'm going to predict that a lot of you will go for Black Sabbath, and that's great. But this is what the show's all about. Gives you a chance to, in this case, question my views, which I love. I love the rapport between us all. So I will see you all later for album covers, And this week it's one of my favourite guitar players, Mr. Gary Moore. Look at his studio album work. So bye for now.